good day today. Love to each and every one of you guys need. If you don't know who I am, well, that's who I am. You can check out my channel. Something I spoke on early on in one of my shorts, which is corruption in boxing, particularly it's very much racism in boxing, I find it to be. The first instance we will talk about, I'll get to you guys in a couple of seconds. But first, before I do anything, I must give all praise and glory to the Most High God in my very first video that I'm doing on this channel. What You Need is the name. If you guys want to donate to my channel, you can donate via PayPal. You can check any one of my shorts. You can check in the chat. So you guys can, if you want to support this channel, you can support it through PayPal. Let's go to that piece of scripture that I got for you guys today. Okay, so yesterday, the scripture that I read from was Genesis chapter 21 and 20. Today, I'm going to fast track to the son of Abraham named Isaac. We're going to read from Genesis chapter 26. Now, there was a severe famine that struck in the land, as it happened before in Abraham's time. So Isaac moved to Gerar, where Abimelech, king of the Philistines, lived. The Lord appeared to him there and said, I'm not sure what happened. We had a little cut, so sorry about that. I'll just reread. The Lord appeared to him and said, do not go to Egypt. Do as I say. Stay here in this land. If you do, I will give you and bless you and your descendants, just as I solemnly promised Abraham, your father. I will cause your descendants to become as numerous as the stars, and I'll give them all these lands. And through your descendants, all the nations of the earth will be blessed. I will do this because Abraham listened to me and obeyed all my commandments, requirements, and regulations and laws. So Isaac stayed in Gerar. And when the men there asked him about Rebekah, he said, she's my sister. So he made the same mistake his father did. But sometime later, Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked out a window and saw Isaac fondling Rebekah. Abimelech called for Isaac and said, she's obviously your wife, man. Why did you say she was your sister? And he said, because I was afraid someone would kill me to get her from me. But how can you treat us this way? Someone might have taken your wife and slept with her, and you would have made us guilty of great sin. Then Abimelech made a public proclamation. Anyone who harms this man or his wife will die. That year, Isaac's crops were tremendous. He harvested 100 times more grain. He harvested 100 times more grain. I can't believe this dude. This dude was going past there, and then now he's blasting his music. People don't care out here, man. Give me some feedback if you can hear me. Yeah, I might have to move this recording. I'm sorry about that, people. I'm sorry about the inconvenience. If you're hearing any background noise, maybe I can use headphones or something. I can't believe it. I can't believe a dude just do that. Dude just pull up. His car's blasting a lot of music. It's very loud, so the recording's gonna get messed up, people. Let me see if I can get some headphones to try and insulate out some of the sound. All right, hold on a second. Yeah, it went for a second. That's cool. All right, can you guys hear me? I hope you can hear me. It should sort of filter out some of the sound, so we should be better off. I just put some headphones in to try and insulate some of the sound off. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm sorry about this. Just somebody just rolled up out there and is blasting a lot of music just out of the clear blue sky, and you know, people out here don't care about anybody else. Genesis 26, and let's get to it. So he's living in the land of the Philistines. He's living in Gerar, where Abimelech, the king of the Philistines, lives. All right. Anyway, that year, Isaac's crops were tremendous. He harvested 100 times more grain than planted, for the Lord blessed him. He became a rich, and his wealth only continued to grow. He had goats, great herds of cattle, and many servants. Soon the Philistines became jealous of him, and they filled up all of Isaac's wells with water. Sorry, they filled up all his wells with earth. My bad. Water comes from the wells, right? These were the wells that had been dug by the servants of his father Abraham. And Abimelech asked Isaac to leave the country. Go somewhere else, he said, for you've become too rich and powerful for us. Now, I'm going to say something right here. Okay, we just having a lot of problems right now, but don't worry about it either. But nonetheless, you're going to have to bear with me, people. If my signal comes and goes, bear with me. We got a lot of distractions. We got a lot of problems. Our signal starting to pop up. You know, they were going to expect, you know, when you're recording, you never know what could happen. But the point here is that Isaac was the son of Abraham, who was a Syrian. Okay, they lived in Ur of the Chaldees, which was a Mesopotamian country. So they lived out, you know, near to Iraq, more in the Iraq areas, but he originally came from Syria. And his wife came from Syria as well. And they came into the Philistine area. People say Canaan, but this was actually the Philistine area of Canaan. The Philistines is, we're having problems with connectivity issues. I can't help, my internet probably is slow or whatever. But suffice it to say, he became very prosperous. The Lord was blessing him in Philistine, and he was becoming very wealthy, just like the Jewish people. The Jewish people constantly becoming wealthy. They became very wealthy, you know, back in the days of the 1920s, 1930s, 1800s. And here again, they were becoming very wealthy. There were some Jewish people that were in America, some Jewish people were elsewhere, and so on. And people despised them for their prosperity, just like how the servants of Abimelech despised him. Now, Abimelech himself personally didn't despise him. But what happened in the end is this. For those of you who don't know, all right, comes from his thing. Yo, I'm gonna have to do like this. Guys, sorry about that. Really, I apologize for what's happening. Okay. We had to relocate. 1, 2, don't worry about it. We got this sorted. Unfortunately for me, I had to change venue because just a lot of negative energy started happening. But I've already cleared the air on the negative energy, so don't worry yourself. I'm putting it together now, all right? Putting it together now. All right, we're going to be all right now. All right, so let me finish reading the story. My video is going to be a little bit more crappy because I don't have my stand. My stand just got destroyed. I'm hand holding everything right now. Okay, but everything should be good. All right, guys. All right, let me finish this off. So like I said, he was so prosperous that the people wanted him to go, right? And this has happened to the Jewish people several times. They've had to move from place to place to place. All right. So Isaac moved from Gerar to the Gerar Valley, and lived there instead. He reopened the wells his father had dug, which the Philistines filled in after Abraham's death. He renamed them using the names Abraham had given them. His shepherds also dug in the Gerar Valley and found a gushing spring. Then the local shepherds there came and claimed the spring. They said, "This is our water." Sorry about that, folks. Apparently, we missed some of the information, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Don't worry about it. You know, this is one of those afternoons where, you know, I'm being challenged, but it don't mean nothing. All right. So Isaac moved to Gerar Valley. Like I said, they lived The men there contested it. Okay, the signal here is just coming on and off. You guys gonna have to bear with me. This is crappy service from Flow. So Flow, y'all need to step up your game. Wasn't a problem before, but it is a problem now. Most of the day wasn't a problem. All right. So they disputed it. They said this is all water. They had a big argument over it. He named the well argument. He opened up another well. There was a fight over that. So Isaac called it opposition. And so he abandoned those two wells, dug another well, and the local people there finally left him alone. So he called it room enough. But he said, at last, the Lord has made room for us, and we're able to thrive. All right. So, was with Isaac's father, Abraham. Okay. And it's interesting. The same king, Isaac, came back and did the same thing his father did to the. Yeah. The same issue he had with wealth, same thing his father had. So it's just interesting the same story play out. In fact, the two stories I just gave you of Abraham yesterday and today Isaac are the pre-Israel people. They were Hebrews. There was no such thing as a Jew. Israel came after. He was the son of Isaac. But I give you all of this to say this, that when you are God's people, you don't need to use violence. You don't need to oppress people. The Lord provides for you. Notice, Isaac didn't fight the people over the wells. He surrendered the wells. They said, this is our well. He named it. When he finally found a well, he settled. My point being, Israel today, not all of Israel, it is the leadership of Israel, are bullying people out of their land. Israel's forefathers didn't behave like that. They respected the people. They respected the land. When they found their place and they found their spot, they settled. I hear some people say, well, you're always talking against Israel. What about Hamas? What about this? What about that? This is what I have to say as a Christian with Jewish lineage. There should be no fight with Hamas. There should be no fight with the Palestinian people, whether in the West Bank or in Gaza. This would not happen had Israel not tried to take these people's land by force. If the Lord promises you something, he will provide. There is no need to beat down people to take what they have to find your place. If God promised you something, he's going to get it for you. He'll make the situation so that you can. Look at the forefathers. Abraham was invited to Palestine. When have the Jews ever been invited to any place or any country? They have been kicked out of every single place in every single country. This does not need to happen this time for Israel. If Israel will understand that the people there are not their enemies. The Palestinians, I know there have been terror attacks and suicide bombings on Israel, but ask yourself why? It's because Israel violently took the land from the people. Nakba, which they are ashamed to talk. There are Christian Palestinians, Islamic Palestinians, and Jewish Palestinians. All of these Palestinians are family. Israel has Israelis who are family in Palestine. Why are you bombing these people? What have they done you? Hamas has done you something. Okay. Hamas does not originate in Palestine. Hamas and the leaders of Hamas live outside of Palestine. If you are going to attack Hamas, attack Hamas. Leave the people alone. They didn't do you anything. Leave them alone. The Most High does not operate like how these people are operating in governance. The military of the IDF, a lot of them, as one person said, they're not about war. They want to party. These young people want to party. They want to enjoy their lives. It's going to have to change. The world doesn't see the Israel the same way it used to see it. The Lord will provide all your needs. To this day, the Jews are one of the most blessed people I've ever seen. They have such innovative minds, very creative. Don't let someone use you. Don't let them fool you. A Jew is now of many different ethnicities. Many tribes come from many parts of the world. Say, you can't distinguish a people that have been around for thousands of years. Maybe you can, but you can't in this case. The Palestinians will survive. They've survived for 75 years of oppression. Israel knows what it is to survive under oppression for 400 years of the Egyptians. And then they were in oppression for 70 years in Babylon. Some were again oppressed back in Egypt. They lived for, I believe, the Samaritans, the people from Israel, the North Israel. You have North Israel, South Israel, Judea or Judah, and then you had Israel or Samaria. Now you get a chance to repatriate to your land. Treat the people with love as you wanted to be treated. These people will welcome you with open arms. They will not kill you if you simply treat them decently. And understand there will be a lashback because of years and years of punishing them and oppressing them. Some of them will lash back. That's to be expected. But in the end, love is the thing that will reign and rule if you rule with love. But what's going on now is not love. So that's my piece of scripture and contribution to you guys. Let's talk some bucks. You know, one of the greatest disease on the planet Earth, one of the greatest disease is for human beings to feel that they are somehow superior to other human beings. It's a sort of elitist tendency. And there's nothing wrong with saying I'm the best at what I do. But it becomes a problem when you're lying to yourself about being the best that you can, on what you do, when you are stepping on other people's heads, when you're hurting other people so that you can look and appear to be the best at what you do. There is something ethically and morally wrong with stealing other people's ideas, with stepping down and putting down other people to make yourself feel better. It never works because the bar is never raised. Competition is to bring the best out of people. Versus competition is to bring the best out of people. And once there's an even playing field, once there is fairness, it is good. Jermell Charlo, I believe he was stripped of his, was it the WBO title? I believe it was his WBO title he was stripped of. In so doing, he was in negotiations with Costa Tseu's son, Tim Tszyu, to fight for the title. He was stripped. Tim Tszyu was elevated to IBF champion. Terence Crawford has a rematch clause he has to fulfill with Errol Spence Jr. However, his mandatory, which is Boots Ennis, had appealed to face the winner of Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. The IBF has since stripped and awarded Jaron Boots Ennis as IBF champion. Number one, the stripped Terence Crawford, I believe, is highly unethical by the sanctioning bodies. These sanctioning bodies are well aware that Jermell Charlo facing Canelo Alvarez is a tremendous money-making event, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. They should have allowed the champion, even though he was racist for a while, to go up and challenge Canelo at 2 weight classes up for the undisputed title. They should have allowed him that. They did it for Devin Haney. They should have done it for Jermell Charlo. They did it for Canelo Alvarez when he went up to 175 and fought, what's his name? Guys, they didn't strip him of the WBC title. And he also did it at 160 and never returned to 160 when he went up and he faced the guy that Andre Ward faced. So I find it extremely unfair that Terence Crawford has been stripped and also that Jermell Charlo has been stripped. Whether they had to contact the sanctioning bodies, both Terence Crawford, who has his mandatory, has to face Errol Spence again because he's contractually obliged, and also Jermell Charlo, who decided to step up to face Canelo Alvarez, which is an opportunity of a lifetime. As they allowed Devin, as they allowed Canelo Alvarez. The other thing that I find very saddening is to hear people who are in the business, in ESPN, etc., now chastising Jerome Ennis, calling him an email champion, as they did chastise Devin Haney. Somebody in the media, whereas they not do that with Tim Tszyu. Okay. I believe that is extremely racist. I believe it's extremely shameful to see the sport of boxing go that low. And that people in the media now are making a mockery of the boxers. Should be the focal point of boxing. It's one thing for boxers to go at each other or fans to go at each other, but it's another thing for professional commentators to make such statements. It's uncalled for and unprofessional. And I have to say that it is also racism, racially motivated. And I do not support or endorse such people, was fired from for such behavior. And all Paulie said was Eastern European fighters are the best fighters today. And he was fired for that. Now, I really couldn't care what, I'm not saying that Paulie doesn't have his own racisms that he comes from, but what I'm saying is that Paulie's a damn good commentator. He knows his boxing. He has his bias. And I'd say keep it professional, people. Keep it professional in the sport of boxing. Because the respect comes when you keep it professional. I'm just a fan. That's all I am. I want to just mention another thing that I just don't like. I don't like people thinking they're superior to other people by putting them down. You're not superior to somebody. If you have effective criticism, it's one thing. If you may particularly not like somebody because of for valid reasons, that's another thing. But it's another thing when you're being totally unprofessional and you're being racist and you're mocking people as a professional. And I've seen it with Elie Seckbach. I've seen it with and Ellie's still not. Ellie's kind of semi-professional. Ellie straddles the line. Ellie gives his opinions. There's nothing wrong with that. So I can't really go in on Ellie like that, even though I've not subscribed to him. I took off my subscription, but Ellie is still more informal, his approach. But a professional in the sport of fans get away with saying almost anything because we're not paid to say it. We're not paid to represent some company. Ellie represents his own company, so it doesn't really matter. But for someone who is working for ESPN or someone who's working for Showtime to say their opinion on someone else that is racially motivated, that doesn't really have any truth to it, really sort of takes down the value of the platform. And we know boxers throw shade at each other. That's okay because they're going to fight each other, right? So a boxer, so even if a boxer's racist, even when Kovalev was racist about Adonis Stevenson, he was really trying to make a fight with Adonis Stevenson, right? And yes, Kovalev is racist, but I don't care. He's a nice guy too. He has his nice parts to him, but I don't care. He's a fighter. And whatever you can do to get in your opponent's head to make them fight, you try, okay? So I understand that. But if you're not somebody who's going to fight somebody, and you don't put on a pair of gloves, then that boxer can't punch you in the face. He can't punch you in the face. So why are you entering into the fray? If you're not entering into the fray, because back in the day, things in boxers take it personally. They're right up on you. And if you keep on keeping that energy, they're going to punch you in the face. That's what they used to do. Okay, Mike Tyson punched a guy in his face, beat him up on a plane, right? Because in boxing, when boxers say the stuff they say to each other, they can act on that in the ring, or even outside the ring. They can stomp you down, whatever. In real life, people trying to enter that fray, that combative fray, understand something. When you start saying something about a boxer, if they roll up on you, that's on you. You better keep the same energy. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't understand. Boxers are gladiators, man. All right? And if they find you disrespecting them, they might roll up on you. You know what I'm saying? So don't just make jokes like that. Jerome Boots Ennis comes from Philadelphia. Philadelphia fighters, y'all don't understand. Philadelphia fighters ain't like that. They'll roll up on you. Okay? When you come for an interview and you all smiling like a Cheshire cat, they don't give you no damn interview. You know what I'm saying? So be careful in the industry what you say. I heard a lady say, be careful what you say to the guy who works with VADA, right? Snack. Well, Victor Conte say, hey, be careful out here what you say about people. You know what I mean? Because people could isolate you and start, start dogging you. You gotta have respect. All people are saying is just have some respect. You might like me, but have respect for me. You know what I'm saying? And in the business, we need to have respect for our fighters. Jerome Boots Ennis might have pressed for, the IBF title, and the IBF relented and stripped Terrence Crawford because they're saying Terrence Crawford wouldn't fight him. But it's not that. Terrence Crawford's engaged in a contractual arrangement, which if he breaks, could cost him a lot of money. He can't just, he can, an immediate rematch with Errol Spence has. And Errol Spence enacted the rematch clause. So Terrence Crawford couldn't fight Jerome Ennis immediately. Now, some fans of, Terrence Bud Crawford, they're trashing Jerome Ennis, but you can't blame Jerome Ennis. It's the IBF you need to blame. The IBF has done a bunch of crap right there. They're not supposed to give Jerome Ennis nothing. He's supposed to stay with the interim title. And after Crawford fights Spence, whether it's at 147 or 154, and they have to allow Crawford to face Spence, okay? Unless Crawford is willing to vacate all the titles at 147 and go up to 154. So that, Crawford has to decide that. But you can't just be stripping Crawford like that. Unless Crawford has agreed to go up and fight Spence at 154. Then he's not being stripped. It's just he's vacated the title. So we have to find out if that's the case with Crawford. But it really does not look good that Crawford got stripped. And it's only a couple of months since he's faced Errol Spence. It's not like, it's way before the time. So it might be that Crawford's probably looking to go up to 154, and that's why he doesn't have the IBF title, and he's probably vacating all the titles to go up to 154 to fight Errol Spence. Maybe it's that. But there's no reason why the IBF should strip him. It's just wrong, in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think. Share your opinions in the comments. I'll be looking at your comments if you guys are talking to me. I don't see anybody commenting right now. But I think it's wrong. I think it's corrupt what the IBF is doing. No mandatory is supposed to be pushing the IBF, strip him. No, that's nonsense. Now, if Crawford has expressed or has not expressed, and the IBF has asked him if he's still campaigning at 147, that would be different. But from what we know, it doesn't look like the IBF even consulted him. The WBO, same thing. Didn't seem to consult Jermell Charlo, just decided we're going to strip him, which is stupid. You don't do that. The champ should be allowed to face who he has to face, especially if it's another champion at another weight class. He should be allowed that. And then he comes back down and then, defends his titles, or he vacates them. Right? So in both instances, I think it's just wrong what the sanctioning bodies did. And again, this is to show how corrupt the sport of boxing is. Whether Jermell Charlo was supposed to contact the WBO, I think the WBO should have contacted Terrence Crawford to ask him if he wanted to keep his title or not. These are things I never quite understand with these sanctioning bodies. Why are they behaving the way they're behaving arbitrarily? Terrence Crawford hasn't even been champion for but a couple of months. So I don't understand what is going on with the IBF. It's very wrong. And I just had to discuss it, and the corruption in boxing. I also think it's very racist that people in the media are trying to call Jerome Ennis an email champion just because he got the belt that Terrence Crawford had without, he had fought for the interim title. And since he's interim, if Terrence has been stripped or whatever has happened to him, then he gets the title. That's just the way how that goes. He's not no email champion. Stop that bullshit. The man worked hard. He wanted Terrence Crawford. He wanted to fight Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford could not face him. Don't say Terrence Crawford's ducking him, because he's not. He has an obligation to rematch Errol Spence first. So there's nothing he can do. His hands are tied. Nothing he can do about that. He's not trying to duck anybody. Okay? Mel Charlo should come back down to 154, and I believe, or maybe he will, maybe he won't, we'll see. But defend his titles, probably get back that WBO belt from Tim Tszyu, beat him, and then maybe he'll match up and face Terrence Crawford. Maybe Terrence Crawford will face Errol Spence and then go on to face Jermell Charlo. Who knows? We'll see. But right now, Terrence Crawford has Errol Spence he has to deal with, and that's supposed to happen at the end of the year or beginning early of next year. Those fights will happen. So I just wanted to comment on this because I just think, same thing with Israel. Israel being very racist and apartheid to the Palestinians. And it's the same mentality we see with anti-Semites. It's the same mentality we see with people in boxing who tell lies. And then on top of that, the narratives, the false narratives and stuff that they try to cover up. Then after that, they try to, push whether once it's non-black fighters or whatever. Listen, you got to stop doing that, people. And the corruption in boxing needs to end. And I'm telling you, it's corrupt in my opinion. It's corrupt in my opinion. The sanctioning bodies are behaving very stupidly. To behave reasonably is one thing. I would think these sanctioning bodies would love to see the best face the best. It's particularly that Canelo is an IBF champion. And it's so strange how these sanctioning bodies bend backwards for Canelo. You know what I mean? They bend backwards for Canelo. Canelo happens not to be a black fighter. They bend backwards for Maul Charlo. Maul Charlo's been like WBC champion for the longest while. But apparently he's going to vacate the title and move up to 168. This seems to be what he's going to have in the Jose Benavidez fight, Jose Benavidez Jr. I will say, though, Jose Benavidez is motivated, whereas Maul is not motivated. So this could be an upset, even though I don't think that highly of Jose Benavidez. Who knows? He might upset Maul. You know what I mean? I'm loving what I'm seeing with David Benavidez. David Benavidez is looking in impeccable shape. I'm loving what I see with Demetrius Andrade. He's looking in impeccable shape. That showdown is going to be exciting as hell, I hope, where both guys can make weight. So it's going to be great. That's going to be a great fight. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Demetrius Andrade can punch. So Jose Benavidez better watch out, because that boy can punch. I'm telling y'all right now. I seen him on the bags. I watched some of his older fights. He fought some big, strong guys, not as fast as David Benavidez, but in terms of hand speed, David Benavidez is looking light on his feet too. I mean, he's not the most moving kind of guy, but he's, quick on his feet and stuff like that. So that's going to be good. I saw him doing a little bit of boxing as well, fighting off the back foot and all that. He putting it together. So this is going to be a good fight. Demetrius Andrade. I know Demetrius Andrade can shoot it straight, or he can loop his punches. He's got some really strange punch selection he can put together I've never seen before. Yes, both guys can telegraph their punches or untelegraph their punches. One of the beautiful things about David Benavidez, let me just say, is how he untelegraphed, throws his shots just out of clear blue. I love that. I love how he does that as well. And he works like a piston. He can throw combinations, but so can Demetrius Andrade, who throws a lot of combinations himself. So it's going to be very interesting watching the Southpaw versus the Orthodox, sometimes going to Orthodox and fighting the Orthodox. It's going to be an interesting fight all the way through. I'm telling y'all right now. They talk about Caleb Plant could crack. Andrade can crack. I'm telling y'all right now. Andrade can crack. He can crack. And he got bigger and he got stronger. He's still as fast. He still got the quickness. I mean, it's going to be interesting. And Andrade can do it all. He can fight on the inside, the outside, everything. David Benavidez's specialty is mid-range, and he loves to place really unique shots. These both guys, I got to say, David Benavidez and Demetrius Andrade, the both guys have some very similar common attributes. So I'm really interested in how it's going to play out. I still favor Demetrius Andrade to get the W. I think he has more versatility. I think he has more tools in the tool bag. David's still developing as a fighter, but you never know. David might pull it off. You know what I'm saying? But it's going to be interesting. I want to see what those guys can do. I believe those guys are going to pull all kinds of different things out their tool bag. They're going to show us so much more than we come to expect of these both guys. So it's going to be an interesting fight. And I'm really looking forward to it November the 25th. That is my highlight fight for the year. The other one is Devin Haney versus Regis Prograis. That's another, highly anticipated fight at the end of the year. I don't think there's anything else big like those fights. But them two, that will end off a really great year of 2023, a great year of boxing. But I just wanted to share that with you guys. My internet's kind of staying more stable now. It's not cutting off and coming back on, so that's good. Praise God for that. I just wanted to share that with you guys. I hope you guys have a good, peaceful weekend. This weekend is Diwali weekend for me. The Hindus in my country, they celebrate the Festival of Lights known as Diwali. Happy Diwali to those people who are from my country or from my region or from India. And I wish you guys light in the midst of the darkness. Guys, try to keep your hearts pure and clean. Keep your spirit pure and clean. And everything should be hunky-dory, man. I'm going to catch you guys later. I am what you need. Peace.